Hey there! I've got another video for you today about academic writing. Today I'm going to focus on cause-effect essays. Okay, so I'm going to give you a video lesson right now about cause-effect essays. So first of all, we're going to talk a little bit about what does cause-effect mean. So the definition of this is the relationship between an event and the outcome of that event. What happens as a result of that event? So let's look at an example. Cell phone use and students. The cause-effect relationship of smartphone use on students. So the cause. Ask, why did this event happen? It happened because of the onset of new smartphone technology that is easily available with awesome options for education and entertainment. Possible effects are inability to focus and remember information, low self-esteem, and exhaustion. So how do we organize this essay? We can focus on the causes. Why does something happen? For example, why do students use cell phones? Or we could focus on the effects. What happens when the event happens? Example, what is the consequence of cell phones use on students? So what we need to do next is we need to make an outline for the cause-effect essay. So here's an example outline that you could use to prepare for this essay. So first of all, you write your topic here, which would be cell phone use on students. And then you would need to decide if you're going to focus on the causes or the effects. For this essay, it's better to focus on the effects because there are more of them than the causes. You can find more information out there about the effects of cell phone use on students. And then in your introduction, you would write your hook, right? Which your hook is what is used to grab the audience's attention. So maybe you would put a question or a quote from a valid source or some statistic or something that would grab the audience's attention. Next, you would put a connection from the background information of this topic to the thesis, right? And then you would write your thesis statement, like what is your essay, your whole essay going to be about? And we'll look at an example of that in a minute. Then the rest of the outline has to do with the body paragraphs. So you would decide if you're going to focus on the cause or the effect for each one, and then you would write your topic sentence, and then you would come up with 3 types of support, and you would get this information from doing some research about this topic. And then it continues for those body paragraphs. And then finally, you would write a conclusion, which would restate the thesis and kind of say it in some different words that you used from before. And then at the end, you would make a suggestion or prediction for the future, or maybe you would ask a question. Okay, so let's look at an example essay. This was found on this website here, and this is actually an open source website, so it means that it's available for people to use online without copyright issues. So the cause-effect essay, this is an example given on this website. So the contextual effects of cell phone use on students. So here we can see that this student is focusing on the effects, and then they give a very clear title here. This is APA style, so this is the APA style title page that you would use. So this website is really great because it highlights over here the different parts of this essay. And we can see right here that we have the hook, right? And they actually give the statistics like we were talking about, and they first give the last name of the authors of this information, and in parentheses they put the date, and then they paraphrase the information from the original source, right? And then notice at the end they have the page number. If you don't have a source that has a page number, you don't have to give the page number if you have a website or something. But if you have the page number, then you need to give that at the end. And then notice this comment here. the author explains that a clear cause-effect relationship is not so simple. It's important to be aware of the complexities of cause-effect relationships, and because the author does this, he builds on his ethos. Ethos means the credibility as a writer. So this is really important, right? So this paragraph basically talks about how the previous studies that have been done, they focus on students, and most of the groups are because students are most affected by cell phone use. But he says here, however, many researchers do not find the exact cause-effect relationship they're looking for in young adults who use cell phones. And then this study actually shows here that there's no measurable increase in a student's daily fatigue to the number of texts and calls they received. So now the author decides to focus on their thesis statement here on specifically talking about the times when students are doing other activities such as studying, socializing, and sleeping. And when these things are being done, right? So this is the event. The event is when students are studying, socializing, and sleeping, and they use their cell phones. Then they have a time when they have difficulty focusing, retention, which means memorizing the information, holding it in their brains, right? Poor self-worth, and fatigue. Okay, so you can see that this thesis statement here clearly outlines, it's a direct thesis statement that tells the reader what the whole essay is going to focus on. And it's going to focus on the effects. Okay, so then we can go further here and look at the first body paragraph. All right, so if we read this topic sentence here, it says, researchers do not have reason to suspect cell phone use in the classroom and during study has adverse effects on students' ability to focus on learning. But the issue is complicated, okay? So they're talking here about how there's some background information about this topic that they're developing. And they give lots of sources. You can see here all the different sources that are used. And notice that they always give the page numbers when they have them available. Okay, so now the researcher here, the author here is going to transition to the second effect, right? So the first effect was talking about the effects on cell phone use in the classroom. And now this one is going to be related to self-worth. Okay, notice how this is a nice transition phrase here, similarly. So it's related to the one that was above. So this is what they say over here. The author presents a clear transition here to shift to the discussion of his second effect. And again, look at all the different ways that the author has integrated the sources with quotation marks and with paraphrasing. And then again, there's the third effect. Cell phone use has also been thought to cause sleep problems. Lots of evidence that's given to support this from the research. And then here, the author emphasizes both his assertion about the effects of cell phone use and the complex nature of this assertion. All right, so that was the concluding paragraph here. Okay, and then notice at the end the references are given, and this is really important to avoid plagiarism. You must have this references page at the end of your essay. All right, so that is all for the cause-effect lesson for essay writing.